global human rights, global health, and international organizations. A week ago, I went on a congressional delegation with three other members of Congress to the nation of Cameroon. I went with Representative Barbara Lee from California, Jim Prinsenbrenner of Wisconsin, Ron Kine of Wisconsin, and Hank Johnson from Georgia. All of us were very interested in what was happening in Cameroon, and a number of us have a large Cameroonian communities in our district. And Ron Kine, for example, has a sister city with one of the cities in Cameroon. All of us have been concerned about what is going on there. And within the House of Representatives, those of you who have been active on this issue and are from the diaspora know that we had a resolution that passed out of the committee. I wanted to talk to you to let you know what went on our trip, and then we can take questions for a few minutes. But before I begin by giving you an overview of the trip, let me mention that there is some discussion and miscommunication about a meeting that I am having tomorrow with the Cameroonian community. You should know that reports of me having a meeting tomorrow morning are false. What I am doing tomorrow morning is an official field hearing from another committee that I chair having nothing to do with Africa. This hearing will be about criminal justice reform in California. There will be no audience participation. There will be no discussion of Africa at this field hearing that will take place. So I don't want anyone to think that coming to this there is going to be an opportunity to meet with me. There will be no opportunity to meet with me during a field hearing from a different committee on a subject completely unrelated to Africa. So, having said that, when I was in Cameroon, we met with elected officials, we met with government representatives, and we had meetings with those who are engaged on the anglophone crisis. We had meetings on the political changes in Cameroon. We went to a local hospital that focuses on HIV and AIDS. We had meetings on humanitarian issues. We met with refugees from a variety of different countries that are in Cameroon. There were people there from Uganda, Rwanda, Nigeria, several different countries talking about their situation. We had meetings with citizens who live in the northwest and southwest region of the country. We met with youth, and then I mentioned we met with government officials. I want to say that I mentioned the delegation. We were very concerned about the fact that children have been out of school for 3 to 4 years. We heard about ghost days and the economic impact that it's having in the region. We met with civil society leaders and discussed atrocities committed by the Cameroonian government, as well as by the anglophone Amba boys. We talked about the lack of access to humanitarian aid and the threat of violence that aid workers face. We talked about the status of the ongoing negotiations in Geneva. I know that there is the perception that we only met with members of the government, but that is not the case. We did have official meetings, and so they certainly had the right to announce those meetings, but we do not announce meetings that we have with private citizens. So when we meet with government representatives, they take it upon themselves to announce it. You know, we did a lot of press while we were there. As a matter of fact, we had press conferences after every meeting with government officials, but we did not call attention to private citizens that we met with. So there might be the perception that we didn't meet with private citizens, but that was not the case. I have heard from my staff that people are concerned about the fact that we only met with government. As I mentioned, that was not the case, but that we also weren't free to roam about. you need to know that whenever I travel as a member of Congress or with other members of Congress, we are never able to just be free and go around any country. I don't care if you're talking about England, France, Cameroon, Uganda. We are not allowed to do that. But it does not mean that we don't have a variety of meetings. They're just not always publicized. We encourage the government to challenge their fear of opposing voices and to engage in dialogue. We know that people have been killed on both sides. We spoke with citizens who expressed fear that the Cameroonian military, and we heard that the Cameroonian military expressed that their soldiers are concerned for their welfare. So both sides have accused Congress of only listening to the other side, but trust me, we are listening to all sides. The bottom line is that Cameroonians are the most impacted by this conflict and deteriorating security situation, and what we want is to see an end to the conflict and to see the nation prosper. So in conclusion, members of Congress went to Cameroon to better understand the situation, to communicate their mutual concern over the growing insecurity in the anglophone regions, and to offer support. And from my point of view, because of the situation in our own government, with our own administration, and people not being clear where the U.S. government is coming from in regard to not just Africa, but anywhere in the world, frankly, I felt it was important to go and say, although you might not know where the administration is coming from, I want you to know where the House of Representatives are coming from. We reiterated our desire to see both parties engage in a dialogue, and in a dialogue without condition. Humanitarian aid workers, we believe, of course, need to have unfettered access. So many people in the Northwest or Southwest, we understand, don't want to accept government-provided food either because they fear retaliation from the separatists or because they don't like the government. But this doesn't mean that they are pro-separatist. So in terms of government officials that we met with the Minister of External Relations. We met with the Prime Minister. We met with the Minister of Defense, and we met with the President of the National Assembly. With that, I will open it up to questions, and I have about 15 minutes to take questions or to hear your concerns. You don't have to ask me a question. If you would just like to express your viewpoint or your concern, please feel free to do that. But understand that we don't have time for keynote presentations. So whatever your comment or question is, we would like for you to keep it brief so that I can take as many questions or comments as possible. With that, Zach, will you please open up the line?
Sure thing. So just a reminder to folks on the call, if you have a question, you can unmute your line now. And ask away.
Hello. My name is.
Hello.
Hi. I'd like to ask the Congresswoman
for a settlement that would lead to Cameroon remaining united, and similar to that, what message would you have to send to those advocating or fighting for independence? Thank you.
Well, you need to know that I always believe in the basic value in the right of people for self-determination. I want to see peace in Cameroon. I want to see all sides come to the table without condition and to work it out. I want people to be free of fear. I want the kids to go back to school, and I want an end to the violence. That is the extent of my position. Cameroonians should determine their own future, but they should determine it in peace. I do not believe that violence on either side is going to result in anything that is positive. And we are all living, frankly, with the nightmare of the situation in South Sudan. And I would hate to see something that resulted in a long-term violent conflict. Nobody succeeds there. Next caller.
Hello.
Already? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you,
Representative Bass for taking the time to go to Cameroon. Now, my question is, my name is Alfonso and I am one of the members of your constituency. My question is, were you able to visit the two anglophone, any of the two anglophone regions? Were you able to see firsthand the atrocities that have been reported to be committed by the forces of law and order? For example, burning of houses and burning of schools. And when you talk about school resumption, where these children who are in the bushes, how are they coming back to the city to go to school when there is this lack of trust between the citizens and the military? And where will they be going to schools, knowing that the schools have been burnt? And where will they go back to the villages or the cities or where they live, knowing that their villages are burnt down? How will that happen?
So let me tell you, again, back with the viewpoint of Cameroonians determining for themselves how to go forward, I can't answer all of those questions. When I say that the first thing that needs to happen from our point of view is that people come to the table and negotiate in peace, that is the first step. I totally understand when you say that the kids don't want to come out of the bush. People don't want to come out of the bush for the humanitarian aid either. But I think that we need to figure out on both sides how to stop the killing. And so you asked me, there were rumors that I went to the two regions. I did not go to the two regions. I was only in the capital. Again, my travel is highly restricted. I do not have control over that. But knowing that, I still thought it was important to go to the country, to travel that far, 19 hours, both ways, to travel to say that this is how important Cameroon is to the United States, that it was worthwhile for us to do that, even though we know we could not go to the conflicted regions. Now, let me just tell you, this was my first trip to Cameroon. It will not be my last trip. Now, in terms of the atrocities, I got to tell you something. People give us and send us videos of atrocities all the time. When I walked out of one of the government meetings, they gave me, They gave me a USB drive with pictures of the atrocities on it. But both sides send me pictures of atrocities and claim the other side committed the atrocities. We get grotesque pictures here all the time. I do hope in a future trip that I can go to the conflicted areas, but on this trip, I was not able to do that. Next caller.
Hello, I'm Ransom. Yes, I'm Ransom.
I'm calling from Texas. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I served for a total of 15 years. I'm from that part, from the anglophone part of Cameroon. Now, the thing is that I'm one of the victims because I have lost two family members and one with a 60-degree burn by the military of Cameroon. I want to ask you, Congresswoman, did you get any information that the government is hiring men or boys who pose as Amazonian fighters, and that there are also some set of fighters who are thieves that the people think that they are restoration fighters? Did you get that information in all your interviews with people on the ground there?
Yes, we did. We did get the information that there are multiple players involved in the conflict. Hello? Already?
Hello.
Yes, Congress member. So what did this trip accomplish, and what did you learn that you didn't know before you went there? Well, the trip accomplished a couple of things. Number one, for the four of us, it was the first time we had an opportunity to visit the country and to meet with officials. There's no ability to do that here. Of course, we meet with the ambassador, but there's no ability to do that on the ground in Cameroon. And we did that with the goal of delivering the message from the United States that we want to see peace, that we want to see both sides come together and come to the table without conditions. Without conditions, that's very important because one side or the other is placing conditions. We won't talk until X, Y, and Z. And because we wanted to hear from citizens in the impacted regions. Now, I said I wasn't able to go to the impacted regions, but we certainly heard from people from those regions. Again, people are worried about it being known that they talked to one side or the other. And that's why we have not and will not publicize who we met with. No, do we have time for two more?
Line unmuted.
Yes, woman. Thank you, Congresswoman Bass, and thank you for your service. This is Foster Bigger calling from Tennessee. I'm not particularly satisfied that you visited the country and you came very close to the place where Reverend Charles Wesco was assassinated, and you did not witness that soil firsthand of the atrocities that have been occurring in this area. But thanks for discussing some of the root causes. I am concerned about the resolution 358 that we're passing in Congress, especially regarding the defenseless citizens who on the 22nd of September 2017 marched with peace branches. And on October 1, 2017, we're marching with peace branches and we're being killed from helicopter gunships. I think that by disproportionate use of force and military that was well trained by United States funds, taxpayers' money, given your visit and given your discussions with these people, and given your resolve to see that this conflict is quickly brought to an end, will you look to offer a U.S. resolution that would make the U.S. a key partner in mediating this crisis to bring it to an end? Because that's really where we have to be driving this conversation to. Thank you.
Line muted.
Thank you so much for your call and your concern. We do call for human rights dialogue. Now, I do have to be frank with you, whether or not I think the U.S. is in a position to call for and manage negotiations. You live here, I think you said you were from Texas, or maybe that was Tennessee. We have some issues going on here in Washington, D.C. with this administration. So that might be a little difficult on our end to say that. I don't know that we're the best partner to be in charge of negotiations. To be honest with you, as an African American who does work on Africa, it's my dream that the AU will be able to do some of this, that Africans will be able to resolve these problems on their own. I'm looking at what's happening in the Sudan, and I'm looking at the role, and I'm very much involved in that as well, and I'm looking at the role that Ethiopia is playing in terms of trying to bring about peace in Sudan. And I remember what happened in the Gambia, the way the ECOWAS leaders stepped in and played a role. And it's my hope and it's my dream that the United States can provide support, but that, when it comes to the countries of Africa, that they will be able to resolve things internal to the continent. I know we have a great ambassador and a great embassy team in Norway, and they have our full confidence, but to me it's more philosophical in terms of the role of the United States. If these conflicts can be resolved with African leadership, I think that is the best. I think our resolution was balanced, but we really did want to send a message to the nation of Cameroon that I know you're looking over at the United States now and saying, boy, what are you guys doing? But I want you to know that when it comes to the House of Representatives, we are clear in terms of our support on the continent of Africa. Let me thank everyone who called in today. We will continue to be very much involved with Cameroon. We appreciate your input and your feedback. I do want to reiterate, like I said at the beginning of the call, that there are some rumors that there is a meeting, not rumors actually, there were announcements that went out that talked about a meeting that I am having tomorrow with the Cameroonian community. That information is 100% false. I am having a hearing tomorrow with the other committee I sit on. I do chair the Africa Committee, but I also chair another committee that has nothing to do with Africa. It is about, it is the Judicial and Homeland Security Committee. And tomorrow morning, we are having an official committee hearing on reforms that California has passed by ballot, reforming our criminal justice system, reducing our prison population. As those of you that have attended or watched the live stream of hearings in the Capitol, you know that there is no opportunity for audience participation. I will not have even 5 minutes to meet with anyone tomorrow regarding Cameroon. I don't want people to come to the meeting thinking that that is what is going to happen. Of course, you're welcome to come if you're interested in how California has reduced its prison population, but not if you are coming to talk about Cameroon. I will not be able to talk to people. That's why we did the tweet about the call, and I appreciate those who joined the call. Please stay in touch with my office. We will continue to be involved in this issue, and thank you so much for your involvement. Good evening.